Hey there guys, welcome to my compound life. I am Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, and of course we build freedom. That will be financial freedom, time freedom for you, me, and anyone else that watches my video. Good morning to all of you. I hope you're well. It's good to be up and early and driving. How's everyone doing? Been a pretty beaten up week for many, I suppose. For many, I think, it's a lot to take in, right? Hopefully by the time you all gone through this few drawdowns, it become easier. So that's why I always said to you guys, you always have some sort of a hodl bag and a swing bag. So this is why there's some portion of your Bitcoin you just want to store it for a long time and simply, you don't want to touch it. And that should really be safekeeping somewhere. I think a couple of videos ago I mentioned about storing it, because what I'm doing now is seed phrases, even the cold wallet. Actually store that somewhere in a bank safe deposit box. But some viewer came out and say, no, you don't want to store it in a bank safe deposit box. You can never trust a bank. True, absolutely true. I think to a certain extent you cannot trust a bank on their safekeeping of your fiat currency, right? Because they could, just thinking out loud, there can always be some sort of range attack. So that's why, it probably makes sense to safekeep your seed phrases as well as your hardware wallet somewhere secure. Okay. Having said that, so I've been looking at charts. I think there could be a possibility that the bottom could be in. I hope so. I certainly hope so. But looking at historical Bitcoin price movement, at least, the bottom should be in about 12 to 15 months after the all-time high. But this time round, looking at the RSI, Relative Strength Index for Bitcoin, it does seem that $60,000 Bitcoin might be the bottom. So here's the tough thing. Here are like a lot of tough decision, right? Because I know many of us, many of you viewers, I think you guys left comments on, do I DCA in? Is it the right time to DCA in? Have we bottomed? That's a very, very tough questions to answer right now, because personally I hope we have reached the bottom. 60,000 was the bottom, I hope. But the thing is, it hasn't quite touched the 200 weeks moving average at around 58,000, right? And most certainly this time around, Bitcoin dipped so much in a very, very short period of time. It just kind of hint or kind of lead me to think that there could be more bottom to come in, right? So similar to last cycle, after we hit the 200 weeks moving average, Bitcoin did continue to dip for at least 20 to 30% more, right? And but of course that was over a longer period of time, right? So, but of course, this time round, we also have to factor in the ISM business cycle. So very likely that's not going to come in until much further down the year, right? So does it mean we will have more bottom? Or, I mean, looking at Bitcoin price today, I think for the past 24 hours, it's simply just retraced now. Bitcoin just retraced between 69 to 70K. So perhaps, we'll just have this side chops for a longer period of time, exactly playing out like the last cycle, right? But of course, I don't mean when it side chops, it's just gonna bounce between 69 to 70K. There could be a possibility that it continued to dip. Maybe 20 to 30% more. That can easily bring us down to about 40,000 to 47,000. So personally, I mean, what I'm doing right now, I'm just waiting. I obviously set some buy at around 58,000, but the last dip we never quite reached there, okay? And I'm not gonna have much hopium right now. I think a lot of people are watching my video because they need some sort of copium, guys, this isn't bad compared to the last few cycle, right? The drawdown was even a lot worse. We just have to keep on the fact that the 4-year cycle is just probably around the corner, right? I mean, that's actually a not a base case. I think that's a bear case, right? If the 5-year cycle doesn't play out, because the expectation would be we haven't gotten a blow off top this time round where 126,000 wasn't a blow off top. It wasn't even a parabolic move upwards. So that's why a lot of investors actually just held, right? So I think from middle of October, I was like, guys, we'll probably need to de-risk. So that's why I already took some off from my swing bag. So this is why, it always comes back to a hollow bag and a swing bag, right? You want to make sure, if you need certain money, right? Because a lot of investors, especially whomever is buying in right now, okay, they're very likely, they're not going to sell in the short term, right? They're likely, they buy in and they're hodled and they'll just wait until the next cycle, right? But of course, we do have a very different class of investors now. So that's why I kept saying the fact that Bitcoin price may somehow be suppressed a little bit. We will not ever get a parabolic move upwards because there will be so much more rebalancing from the ETFs, from the institutions, investors, because whenever Bitcoin price gets up to a certain point, and then where they have certain allocation in terms of their portfolio, very likely they're going to have to rebalance, they're going to have to sell off, or they're going to have to buy back, right? So any of the drawdown or any of the parabolic move, I think definitely will be capped. So in that case, we just have to accept the fact that, you know what, this is the time when we need to like consider about the diminishing of return, right? However, we shouldn't be, be having too much hopium in such a way to disregard fully about the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, because it does seem it's being played out, right? Ridiculous lady. White Tesla, my goodness. Anyway, so this is why the fact we haven't touched the 200 weeks moving average, and knowing that Bitcoin takes about 12 to 15 months to bottom, I'm not instantaneously jumping back into the FOMO, because it doesn't make sense, right? And I would rather wait and see, as opposed to, FOMO buying in again. Number one, because my situation, I'm already heavily exposed onto Bitcoin. I don't have to sell, right? Definitely not the time to sell, guys. This is like the worst time you want to sell. But having said that, some might argue, if you don't sell, what if Bitcoin drops to 40,000, right? But anyway, my average is well below, whatever price we're in now, or even 40,000. My average is well below that. So the fact that I'm quite heavily exposed, so that's why I'm not FOMO into buying in. A little bit like my Tesla too, right? Because I think the recent dip was pretty good, but I wasn't FOMO to buy in, because of course I do have a accumulation goal, like number of shares that I want to get into, which I'm quite near my goal. So I'm not in a hurry to, keep on buying. Which kind of brings in, if you do have a certain goals, accumulation goals that you want to get to, it probably doesn't always mean FOMO going in to buy, because there will always be more dips. That's what I'm thinking, right? Looking at what's happening in the market right now, there's just no more catalysts, no more potential catalysts that can, bring up the price immediately, right? Apart from, that's the crypto, is it the Clarity Bill? Will be discussed again today, so that's something to look out for. But even if it made some traction, right? I think prior speculation would be it will not get onto Trump's, President Trump for signature until much later, maybe in June, right? So in between now, I just felt, Bitcoin will just side chops. It just side chops. It might get lower, right? If it does get lower, I think 200 weeks moving average would be a good time to buy some dips. So in terms of my altcoin bags, I'm not selling anyway, right? I just felt it's like the wrong time to sell. However, what I might want to do, I might want to top up. I might want to top up on some of the altcoins. So this is like the really, really bad things about right now. You don't really have a clear signal to buy of course, there's no clear signal to sell at all right now. If you hodl through, if you haven't managed to sell at around 90, 100, 110, 120, now's not the time to sell. And now it's just the time to hodl, right? But even for altcoins, I kind of believe now is not the right time to buy, because if Bitcoin continue to go down or even reach a stage of capitulation, right? Because everyone was calling that recent dip 60,000 was that capitulation, but to be frank, I think there will be more capitulation coming. There has been, hedge funds blowing up, so that's why they had to sell off their Bitcoin. And this kind of capitulation doesn't feel big enough yet. It wasn't like the Celsius, the I don't know, FTX type of capitulation. It could either be everyone was so well prepared and they cushioned, their P&L so that they wouldn't have to come to such, capitulation stage, right? But at the same time, I simply felt no one will ever, companies will all be very, very greedy. And I felt capitulation will come eventually. So I think it's kind of like a mix. Some will feel we have bottom, and some it's actually still in that hopeful stage where they're still hoping for the ISM business cycle kicks in. However, that will not kick in until we have more rate cut, as well as quantitative easing, which I don't see that coming anytime soon. So a little bit like what I've mentioned yesterday, if we do want to see some sign of bottom, because we have reached the bottom so much more earlier this cycle, right? So to get to the very bottom, like the bottom, I'm kind of guessing maybe that would be sometime in June, as opposed to the historical, 12 to 15 months after the all-time high. That will be sometime in November, right? So maybe this time around would be in June. Maybe, I'm just thinking maybe, right? Because historically, I think for every midterm for Bitcoin, it's actually Bitcoin performed terribly during the midterm year, followed by, it will continue to go up the next following year after the midterm, right? I'm thinking, however, equity usually perform quite well towards Q4, right? So I'm thinking maybe Bitcoin this time around, it goes hand in hand with the equity market, and towards Q4 it will eventually get back to a small rally, and that will kind of kickstart the whole cycle, the bull cycle for Bitcoin. Yeah, so if the bull cycle comes earlier, does it mean it will also end earlier too, right? Like, how I always talk about Bitcoin cycle, 1 year of bear followed by 3 years of bull, right? So does it mean, if we're still looking for the 4-year cycle, does it mean half a year of bear followed by, maybe bull years become shorter? So anyhow, I think I wouldn't be able to speculate much, because that's too far ahead, It's just step by step, let's find the bottom first. Let Bitcoin find its bottom. I think hopefully sometime maybe in June and then we'll figure out, you know, whether, because once we found the bottom, right, I think then we'll have to figure out when do we want to exit our swing back, because I'm not sure, do many of you do that now, like having a hodl back as well as swing back? Let me know in the comment section if you guys do that. It's good to hear feedback from viewers. Yeah, if we have our swing back, that means, you know, maybe whilst we are trying to find the bottom for Bitcoin, it makes sense to just DCA in pretty hard. Now, not financial advice, do your own research, guys. So at least I'm setting my buy at around 58,000. And we'll see, because I'm gonna do the same thing, you know, focus a lot more buy during the bear market and less of a buy on the bull market, and decide the DCA out exit when we get near the top, I guess. But anyway, let me know how you guys are doing, because I felt everyone's too beaten up, you know, in regards to the recent comments, in regards to the recent views on YouTube, at least for my channel. I don't know about others, but I'm kind of thinking a lot of people have felt beaten up and they simply don't want to look at their portfolio. That makes sense. I've been through that stage before, and I would strongly advise you take some time off, right? I know it's painful looking at the portfolio. If you hold Bitcoin, I think you're fine. If you hold Bitcoin and altcoins, shitcoins, meme coins, you all must feel terrible right now. Like even myself, I hold some altcoins, and yeah, it's terrible looking at that portfolio, but you know what, I've been through it, so I'm fine with it. So that's why, you know, at every given opportunity, find ways to rotate back into Bitcoin. As long as you guys keep on doing that, you'll be fine, guys. So yeah, I think just hodl through, take some time off, but don't leave. I mean, give yourself 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at max, right? Come back to look at the situation. I'll keep you guys all posted, so hit the like, hit subscribe, and yeah, we'll just have to get through this, because what you don't want to do is to come back when Bitcoin peaks again, right? And then start to FOMO in DCA, guys. That would be like the wrong time. Then you will have a much higher average, right? So this would be the time that, you know, many of us would have to do our DCA. And if you're new to the channel, if you're new to watching my video, I make Bitcoin video almost every day on a daily basis. So what you might want to do is to consider about how you want to DCA in during the bear market. Certainly, I don't personally feel we are at the bottom yet. There will be more bottom to come, because I haven't seen huge capitulation from any big players yet. So we'll see how that goes. So if you like the video, hit like, hit subscribe. Let me know in the comment section where you guys are watching from. It's always nice to hear from all the viewers. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye.